Have you ever noticed that the deepest loneliness doesn't appear when you're alone, but when you're standing among people who do not see you? It's a strange ache, an emptiness that whispers, "You don't belong here." This is the first wound of becoming yourself. It begins quietly, almost invisibly. You laugh at the same jokes as everyone else. You nod when they speak. You smile when they expect you to. Yet somewhere deep inside, there's a voice that trembles. This isn't me. The path of becoming yourself always starts with this fracture between who you are and who the world wants you to be. And at first, you try to silence it. You push it down with distractions, scrolling, conversations, even relationships that feel hollow. But no matter how much you try to bury it, the fracture spreads. Psychologists call this moment the discrepancy crisis, the tension between your authentic self and your social self. It's why so many people feel drained in rooms full of friends, or restless after a day of performing normalcy. Deep down, the soul is crying for truth. This first wound hurts because it is lonely. Nobody else sees it. Nobody else can feel it. And yet, this is the beginning of your awakening, because the pain of misalignment forces a question that cannot be ignored forever. Who am I really? Becoming yourself begins with daring to look at this wound instead of numbing it, to admit that maybe the mask is killing you, to realize that your pain is not a weakness, it is a compass. The lonely path starts here, not with answers, but with the courage to admit that the life you've been living isn't the one you're meant for. Once the first wound is felt, silence creeps in. It's the silence between your laughter and your true feelings, the silence between your thoughts and your spoken words, the silence that grows every time you say, "I'm fine," when you are not. This silence is heavy because it creates distance. People still surround you, yet it feels as though there's an invisible glass wall between you and them. You can hear their voices, you can see their gestures, but they cannot reach you. This is the stage of withdrawal. Many mistake it for depression, but it's something different. It's the quiet instinct of your soul pulling you away from noise so it can finally be heard. Philosophers like Kierkegaard call this the sickness unto death. Not a literal death, but the suffocation that comes when the self is not allowed to breathe. Silence is your soul's rebellion. It refuses to participate in the endless performance. But silence is also misunderstood. Others may say, "You've changed, you're distant." They'll try to pull you back into the old identity because it's safer for them if you remain who you were. That's when loneliness deepens. Not because you're alone, but because you're no longer understood. Yet inside this silence lies a gift, the beginning of self-dialogue. For the first time, you're forced to hear your own thoughts without interruption. You start asking, what do I want? What do I believe? What do I need to let go of? Silence becomes a mirror, and though it hurts to stand before it, every great transformation begins here, in the quiet spaces where the truth can no longer be avoided. The third stage of becoming yourself is one of the hardest, separation. At some point, the pain of staying the same becomes heavier than the fear of change. That's when you start breaking away from the familiar, friends, habits, even dreams that no longer belong to you. This is not a clean process. Breaking away feels like tearing out roots. You question your choices. You wonder if you're betraying the people who've always been by your side. Guilt whispers in your ear. Who do you think you are, walking away? But here's the paradox. Staying loyal to the wrong path is the greatest betrayal of all. Psychology calls this the individuation process, Carl Jung's term for the painful but necessary journey of separating your true identity from the collective expectations of family, society, and culture. It's when you stop asking, "What will people think of me?" and start asking, What will become of me if I keep ignoring myself? You may lose relationships in this stage. You may walk away from jobs, communities, or roles that once defined you. And yes, it will hurt. But this breaking away is not destruction. It is pruning. You are not abandoning who you were. You are clearing space for who you are meant to become. It feels like loss, but it is actually the first taste of freedom. And though the world may not understand it, deep inside, you begin to feel a strange, quiet strength. The realization that your life is yours to shape. After the breaking away comes the heaviness of solitude. This is the moment when the phone grows quiet. Invitations fade. People you once counted on drift into the background of memory. At first, it feels unbearable, like the silence of exile. You wonder if you've made a mistake. You scroll through old photos, hear old laughter, and ache for the comfort of belonging. But here is the truth. Loneliness is not punishment. It is passage. The weight of walking alone is heavy because you are carrying not just your own heart, but also the burden of shedding identities that no longer serve you. Every step feels like dragging a shadow, yet each mile teaches you resilience. Psychologists describe this as the liminal phase, a threshold where the old self has been stripped away, but the new self has not yet arrived. It is uncomfortable, like being in between worlds, but it is here that your true strength is forged. When you walk alone, you confront every hidden fear. Fear of abandonment, fear of failure, fear of not being enough. There is no one left to shield you from your doubts, so you must face them head on. And as painful as this sounds, it is the very reason solitude is sacred. The strongest souls are not born in crowds, but in the wilderness of aloneness. So though the world may not notice, every quiet step you take alone is writing a new chapter of who you are becoming. When the loneliness deepens, something unexpected happens. Pain stops being an enemy and becomes a mirror. You begin to see that every wound has a story. The betrayal that shattered you taught you who cannot be trusted. The rejection you suffered revealed who you were never meant to chase. The heartbreak that emptied you also cleared space for something more authentic. Pain becomes a teacher, not the gentle kind, but the uncompromising kind. It forces you to stop running, to look at the reflection you've been avoiding. And in that reflection, you realize something profound. You are not just what happened to you, you are what you choose to do with it. Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "To live is to suffer. To survive is to find some meaning in the suffering." This is the essence of the mirror stage. Pain strips you of illusions and forces you to ask, what meaning will I give to my suffering? This is the turning point. Some collapse under the weight, choosing bitterness and despair. Others, those who embrace the mirror, begin to alchemize suffering into strength. You may not see it yet, but the scars you carry are becoming armor. The nights you thought would break you are sharpening your vision, and the loneliness that once terrified you is now showing you the power of standing in your truth, even if no one else claps for it. Pain is no longer just pain, it is reflection, it is fuel, it is the proof that you are alive and transforming. There comes a point in the lonely path where something shifts inside you. You stop explaining yourself. You stop trying to prove your worth. You no longer beg to be seen or understood. This is the quiet rebellion. It doesn't announce itself with rage or noise. Instead, it whispers in your choices, saying no when you used to say yes, walking away when you used to stay, standing tall when you used to shrink. The quiet rebellion is dangerous, not to you, but to the systems and people who thrived on your compliance. It unsettles them because they can no longer control you with approval or rejection. You are no longer playing their game. Psychologically, this is the birth of autonomy. Self-determination theory tells us that true well-being comes when our actions are guided not by fear, but by inner alignment. The quiet rebellion is you finally choosing authenticity over acceptance. You may not have it all figured out yet. The path ahead may still be uncertain, but with every quiet act of rebellion, you reclaim a piece of your soul, and slowly you realize something liberating. Becoming yourself does not require anyone's permission. Your very existence lived truthfully is the rebellion. Even as strength begins to take root, there will come a night, a long, merciless night, where doubt returns with a vengeance. You will question everything. Did I make the right choices? What if I lose everything and never find myself? What if this loneliness isn't transformation, but simply emptiness? This is not weakness, this is human. The long night of doubt is a rite of passage for every soul walking the path of becoming. It is the storm that tests whether your roots are deep enough to withstand the winds of uncertainty. Doubt plays tricks on the mind. It tells you that the old life was safer, that maybe you should go back. It tempts you with the comfort of conformity, whispering that being unseen is easier than being misunderstood. But here lies the paradox. Doubt is not the enemy. Doubt is the proof that you are standing at the threshold of change. For only those who dare to leave the familiar will hear doubt's voice. Those who remain asleep in conformity never feel it at all. The long night will drain you. It will test your patience, your courage, your hope. Yet if you endure it, dawn arrives with clarity. You realize that doubt did not destroy you. It strengthened your resolve. It showed you that your commitment to becoming yourself is not shallow, it is real. And when the sun rises after the long night, you carry a new kind of confidence. Not the loud confidence of ego, but the quiet confidence of survival. From doubt emerges something powerful, inner strength. It is not flashy. It is not the kind of strength that flexes or demands recognition. It is subtle, invisible to the eye, but unshakable at the core. Inner strength awakens when you finally realize you have endured everything you once thought would break you. You have walked through rejection, loneliness, silence, and storms of doubt, and you are still here. This strength is different because it is not dependent on external validation. Before, you may have felt strong when people praised you, when achievements piled up, when applause surrounded you, but now your strength comes from something deeper. The knowledge that even stripped of everything, you remain whole. Psychologists call this resilience, the ability not just to survive adversity, but to be transformed by it. Resilience is not built in comfort, it is sculpted in the fires of hardship. And you, perhaps unknowingly, have been training your soul for it all along. Inner strength gives you the courage to trust yourself again. You no longer need to ask, will they approve, or am I enough? Instead, you begin to whisper, I am here, I am alive, I am becoming. It is in this stage that the loneliness begins to shift. Where once it felt like exile, now it feels like solitude. And solitude, unlike loneliness, is empowering. It is no longer a void, it is a sanctuary. With inner strength, you begin to sense, the lonely path may not be a curse after all. It may be a gift. Once strength awakens, vision follows. The fog that once clouded your eyes begins to lift. For the first time, you can see possibilities that were invisible before. The world hasn't changed, but you have. You begin to notice what sparks your soul. Ideas that excite you, people who inspire you, dreams that once felt impossible but now feel necessary. It's as if the universe had been waiting for you to shed your old skin before revealing these hidden doors. This is the birth of new vision. It doesn't come as a single lightning bolt. It emerges gradually like dawn light spilling across a dark horizon. Small realizations build into larger ones. Perhaps you realize you were never meant for the path chosen for you. Perhaps you finally admit the dream you buried years ago is still alive, waiting to be pursued. This vision is not just about goals or ambitions, it is about alignment. The more you see clearly, the more you recognize what belongs to your soul and what does not. And in this recognition, your path begins to take shape, not the path others designed for you, but the one that has been quietly waiting within you all along. The birth of new vision is both exciting and terrifying. It demands risk. It calls you to step forward without guarantees, but it also gives you a fire that no one else can extinguish. And as you take your first steps toward this vision, you finally realize the lonely path was never just about loss. It was preparing you to see what only solitude could reveal. Once vision awakens, it ignites something even greater: purpose. Purpose is not the same as a goal. A goal is something you achieve and cross off a list. Purpose is the fire that keeps burning even after the goal is reached. It is not external. It comes from within, woven into the fabric of who you are. At this stage of becoming, you realize your pain was not wasted. Every struggle, every lonely night, every silent tear, it was all carving space inside you for this fire. The rejection taught you empathy. The loneliness taught you clarity. The doubt taught you perseverance. Now all of it becomes fuel for your purpose. Purpose transforms the way you move through the world. Tasks that once felt meaningless now carry depth. Challenges that used to overwhelm you now feel like training grounds. Even failure no longer frightens you, because failure is no longer the end. It's simply another step in the unfolding of your becoming. Psychologists describe this as self-transcendence. It is the stage where your life is no longer just about survival or success, but about contribution. You begin to ask, how can I use what I've learned to bring light to others? And the beautiful paradox is this: the very loneliness that once made you feel forgotten now becomes the bridge to connect deeply with others who are lost in the dark. Because you have walked through it, you can guide them. Purpose is the fire that turns the lonely path into a luminous one. The most surprising part of the journey is this: when you finally become yourself, connection returns, but in a new form. This time, it is not forced. It is not built on masks, performance, or approval seeking. It is authentic, flowing naturally from who you are. The people who now enter your life feel different. They don't demand that you shrink or pretend. They don't fear your truth. They meet you where you are, and you meet them where they are. These are not the connections of convenience. They are the connections of resonance. At this stage, you understand that loneliness was not the absence of people, but the absence of authenticity. When you lived out of alignment, no amount of company could fill the void. But now that you live in truth, even a single conversation can feel like a feast. Connection also takes on a spiritual dimension. You feel connected not just to individuals, but to life itself. The trees, the sky, the quiet rhythm of existence, everything begins to feel alive with meaning. You realize you were never truly alone. You were simply waiting to align with the deeper currents of life. This is why ancient mystics, philosophers, and psychologists all emphasize the same truth. Selfhood leads to communion. By daring to walk the lonely path, you rediscover not just yourself, but the hidden harmony that unites all things. Connection returns, not as a crutch, but as a celebration. And so you reach the final chapter. But here's the secret: there is no final chapter. Becoming yourself is not a destination. It is a lifelong unfolding. You will continue to face new doubts, new silences, new separations. But now you know, each time the path feels lonely, It is not abandonment, it is initiation. Each time the world grows quiet, it is not emptiness, it is an invitation to listen deeper. The lonely path is not a curse. It is the very road that shapes the strongest, most authentic souls. And though you may walk it in solitude, you are never truly alone. Every scar, every step, every lesson connects you to countless others who are walking their own paths of becoming. So what does this mean for you right now? It means your loneliness has meaning. Your silence has purpose. Your struggle is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of your transformation. If these words found you today, it's because you're already on the path. The question is, will you keep walking? Will you keep listening to the quiet voice within, even when the world cannot understand? Because one day, when you look back, you will see what you cannot see now. Every lonely step was leading you here, to yourself, to your truth, to your becoming. If this message resonated with you, don't keep it hidden. Share it, subscribe, join this journey with us, because together, even the loneliest path can become a path of light.